Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to, well, really getting clued in about some of the most surprising stuff happening around the world. Today, we're diving deep. We've gone through articles, research, our own notes to pull out some genuinely unexpected nuggets. Get ready, because your idea of normal might get stretched a bit.
That's really the core of it, isn't it? Human cultures are just so incredibly varied. You end up with these traditions, laws, facts that seem, well, maybe bizarre to us, but are perfectly normal or at least have deep roots somewhere else. So yeah, our mission today is basically to uncover some of that weird, wonderful, and totally real stuff from our global community.
Absolutely. We're talking ancient customs that'll make your jaw drop, laws that seem to make zero sense, and even some geographical facts that are just mind-bending. It really shows how differently people express themselves, run their societies, even interact with the environment. It's a journey into the unexpected, and I think you'll walk away with some pretty cool new perspectives. Okay, so let's kick things off with something that always gets me. These unbelievable traditions and rituals from across the globe. Mm-hmm. And these aren't just like quirky little habits. Some are so surprising, they honestly make you double take.
It's truly astounding. And what often gets missed, I think, in that initial shock is that these practices, they're rarely just random. They're usually woven really deep into a place's history or their beliefs, or they serve some specific, often ancient social purpose, even if, yeah, they look completely strange to an outsider.
Right. Like, take India's baby tossing festival. It sounds exactly like what it is. In these small villages in Karnataka, they literally drop newborn babies from a 50-foot temple rooftop.
Onto a cloth, yeah. Held by men waiting below. It sounds absolutely, well, terrifying from our perspective. But this tradition apparently has been going on for something like 700 years. It's supposed to bring good luck and health to the baby. It speaks volumes about faith and community trust, doesn't it? Even without apparent risk.
It really does.
Huh.
Okay, from extreme faith to something.
Yeah.
Well, maybe spirited. Let's go with spirited. Up in Dawson City, Yukon, Canada, you can order the sourdough cocktail. And, yeah, it's a shot of whiskey with an actual mummified human toe in it.
Oh, I've heard of this one. And the rule is the toe has to touch your lips. Right?
That's the only rule. It's become this, like, rite of passage for visitors. Kind of shows that unique Yukon frontier humor, maybe.
Definitely a conversation starter. Okay, how about this? In Spain, Castrillo de Murcia, they have El Colacho. This involves men dressed as devils jumping over rows of newborn babies, laid out on mattresses in the street.
Wow, jumping over babies. Why?
It's meant to cleanse the infants from original sin. Yeah. That's the belief. And this isn't new either. It's been happening for over 300 years. Shows how deep these rituals can run, even if they seem, well, risky today.
Okay, that's intense. Now, for a pre-wedding thing that's maybe less risky, more messy, Germany's Polterabend. Friends and family gather outside the couple's house and just smash stuff. Mirrors, plates, I even read toilets sometimes.
Yeah, porcelain, crockery. The idea is lots of broken pieces bring good luck, and then the couple has to clean it all up together. It's meant to symbolize teamwork, like showing they can face challenges together right from the start.
Huh. Definitely memorable. Okay, over to Vanuatu, Pentecost Island. There's land diving. This actually inspired modern bungee jumping. Men tie plant vines to their ankles and jump off these pretty rickety-looking wooden towers.
Right, and the height they jump from, the courage shown, it's believed to be directly linked to how good the yam harvest will be that year. So it's not just thrill-seeking. It's a really vital ritual for the community's well-being. You can almost see the lineage to bungee, can't you?
Yeah, that connection is fascinating. Now, in Thailand, there's something quite common, temporary monk ordination. Lots of young Thai men will enter a Buddhist monastery for a while, maybe weeks, maybe months.
They shave their heads, wear the orange robes. It's about learning Buddhist teachings, but also, importantly, creating merit for their family. It's seen as a deeply respectful act that brings spiritual benefit to their loved ones, really highlights those family and spiritual connections in Thai culture.
And speaking of honoring people, the creativity around death rituals is amazing too, like in Ghana with the fantasy coffins. A Bebu Atakai, I think they're called.
Yes, exactly. These aren't just, standard coffins. They're incredibly vibrant, elaborate, designed to reflect the deceased's personality or their job. So you might see coffins shaped like, I don't know, a fishing boat, a cocoa pod, a shoe, anything really. It's a really beautiful, very personal way to celebrate a life, I think.
It really is. And one more tradition that just boggles the mind of Fiji's firewalking. Walking on actual red-hot stones.
Yeah, and the belief there is that the descendants of the very first person who did it, they inherited the ability. They can still walk on these white-hot stones without getting burned. It's an incredible display of, well, something faith cultural heritage passed down for generations.
Okay, from these deep traditions, let's switch gears a bit. Let's talk about laws. Some laws around the world are just genuine head-scratchers. They might be leftover bits of history, or maybe they reflect some really unique local priorities.
Exactly. Laws, just like traditions, give you this weird little window into a place's past or its values. Some seem practical, but maybe in an odd way. Others just feel completely random if you're not from there. They really make you ask, wait, how did that become a rule?
You're not wrong. Okay, first one, this always makes me chuckle. In the UK, under the Salmon Act 1986, it's illegal to handle salmon under suspicious circumstances in England and Wales.
Suspicious circumstances, what does that even mean? And the penalty can be up to 2 years in prison.
Right. Am I hiding it under my coat, looking shifty near a river?
Apparently, it's an update to older laws, mainly about stopping poaching and illegal selling. But that phrasing is just brilliant, isn't it?
It really is. Okay, now, if you're in Milan, Italy, maybe you try to keep a smile on your face. There's an old city rule from Austro-Hungarian times, they say, never actually repealed, that technically forces people to smile all the time.
Seriously, you have to smile.
Legally, yeah. Unless you're at a funeral or in a hospital. Those are the exceptions.
Imagine trying to enforce that today. Excuse me, sir, that's not a regulation smile. Just bizarre.
Totally. And speaking of potentially unenforceable, there's a rumored law in Florida, USA, never enforced, long forgotten, but the story goes, it's illegal to pass wind in a public place after 6 p.m., specifically on Thursdays.
Thursdays, after 6 p.m., where does that even come from? Maybe the 1800s. It's just one of those weird bits of local lore, I guess. Thankfully, no one's getting arrested for it. The specifics are just baffling, though.
They really are.
Yeah.
Now, over in Turin, Italy, they're very serious about animal welfare. Dog owners can be fined, apparently up to $500, if they don't walk their dogs at least 3 times a day.
Wow, that's quite specific. It definitely shows how seriously they take their animal protection laws, though. A clear priority, even if the rule itself seems strict to outsiders.
Definitely. And in Scotland, there's this old common law, technically still on the books, that says you have to let someone use your toilet if they knock on your door and ask.
Really? Just anyone? Talk about hospitality.
Yeah. It probably dates back to way before public restrooms were a thing, but still, a quirky bit of Scottish tradition there.
Okay, this next one is a bit darker and strange. The mayor of Sarparanx, France, once issued an order forbidding people from dying within the town limits unless they already owned a burial plot in the local cemetery.
Wait, forbidding them from dying?
Yeah.
He even threatened the deceased with severe punishment. Apparently, it was a protest because the cemetery was full. But the whole idea of legally telling someone not to die or punishing them post-mortem, it's just mind-boggling.
That is truly next-level bureaucracy. And how about this for control? North Korea's haircut restrictions. Men and women apparently only have a choice of 15 state-approved haircuts.
15, that's it. And the punishments range from fines to prison.
Yeah, and much more seriously, any kind of South Korean entertainment, like movies or music, totally illegal. Punishable by death, even.
That really shows the extreme measures some governments take to control culture and outside influence. Really chilling.
It is. And lastly, you hear Singapore called the fine city. It's not just because it's nice.
No, it's because so many things can get you a fine, right?
Exactly. Selling or even chewing gum. Flying a kite in certain places. Forgetting to flush a public toilet.
It sounds strict, and maybe it is, but it's a very pragmatic approach to keeping order and cleanliness. And you can't argue with the results. Singapore is incredibly clean and orderly. They mean business with their rules.
Okay, so we've done traditions, we've done laws. Now let's widen the lens a bit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some just mind-blowing facts about our world. Geographical stuff, cultural things, political odds and ends. Get ready for some real aha moments here.
Yeah, these are the kinds of facts that, even though they're all over the place, they kind of connect to show just how incredibly diverse and surprising the planet and its people really are.
Let's start with geography and nature. Did you know that Canada has more lakes than the rest of the world's countries combined?
More than all others combined. Wow. That's hard to even picture. Just an incredible amount of fresh water.
It is. And speaking of size, we think of the moon as huge, right? But Australia is actually wider than the moon.
Get out. Really?
Yeah, Australia is almost 4,000 kilometers east to west. The moon's diameter is about 3,400 kilometers. Puts it in perspective, doesn't it?
It really does. That's a great one. And going deep, the Mariana Trench in the Pacific, deepest point on Earth. How deep are we talking?
11,034 meters. That's deeper than Mount Everest is tall. Just sinks in how vast the oceans are.
And sticking with extremes, Antarctica. It holds something like 90% of the world's fresh water, mostly locked up as ice, of course. And it's also the world's largest desert. A cold desert, obviously.
Right. But get this. Near Ross Island in Antarctica, there's a place where it apparently hasn't rained for millions of years.
Yeah.
The driest place on Earth.
Millions. That's hard to comprehend. Just completely arid.
Okay, shifting to something positive environmentally, Suriname. It's a carbon-negative country.
How so?
Because it has the highest percentage of forest cover in the world. Like, almost 95% of the country is forest.
So the trees absorb more greenhouse gases than the entire country emits. That's fantastic. A real green leader, naturally.
Definitely. Now for a really unique landscape, Namibia's Skeleton Coast. It's where the Namib Desert dramatically meets the Atlantic Ocean. And it's famous for shipwrecks. Okay. Over 1,000 of them.
Wow. Why so many?
Just incredibly hazardous conditions, thick fog rolling in off the cold ocean current, strong winds. It creates this eerie, beautiful graveyard for ships.
Sounds haunting. And for a natural spectacle, how about Venezuela's everlasting storm?
The Catatumbo lightning.
Yeah.
Over Lake Maracaibo, there's lightning almost every single night.
Every night?
Pretty much. Up to 1.6 million lightning strikes a year in that one area. It's like a permanent natural light show.
Incredible. Nature's own electrical generator.
Okay, let's move into some unique cultural and social realities. These facts really show how differently societies can structure things like time, identity, even just basic assumptions.
Yeah, these are the ones that really challenge our own default settings about how the world works, like time itself.
Exactly. Take Ethiopia. They use a calendar that's 7 years behind the Gregorian calendar we use.
Yeah.
So right now for them, it's 2011. And their day starts differently, too. Their 12-hour clock begins at dawn, which is 6 a.m. for most of us.
So 7 a.m., our time would be 1 o'clock for them in the morning. A whole different rhythm to the day. That's fascinating.
It really is. And in Iceland, apparently, a majority of people, 54%, believe in or think it's possible that Huldufolk exist.
Yeah.
Hidden people, elves, basically.
Wait, over half the population believes in elves? Seriously.
Or at least acknowledges the possibility. And get this belief isn't just folklore. It's actually influenced real-world decisions. Construction projects have sometimes been altered or stopped because they would disturb areas believed to be elf habitats.
Wow. So it's not just a story. It has a tangible impact on the landscape and development. That shows a really deep respect for nature and tradition.
It does. Now, for sheer numbers, the largest human gathering on Earth, it's India's Maha Kumbh Mela.
Oh, yeah, the huge pilgrimage.
Huge is an understatement. Every 12 years, it attracts around 400 million Hindu pilgrims over about 45 days. 400 million.
The scale is just impossible to grasp. The logistics alone, let alone the spiritual significance.
Mind-boggling. Okay, a political structure one. South Africa. It's the only country with 3 official capitals.
3 why?
Cape Town is the legislative capital. Pretoria is the administrative or executive capital, and Bloemfontein is the judicial capital.
Huh. How did that happen?
It was set up back in 1910 when the country unified. It was basically a compromise to prevent any one region or city from having too much power, a deliberate balancing act.
Interesting solution. And in Samoa, culturally, they recognize 4 genders.
4. What are they?
Man, woman, and then 2 third-gender identities. Fa'afafine, which are people assigned male at birth who live and behave in a feminine way, and Fa'afetana, people assigned female at birth who live and behave in a masculine way.
And these are accepted roles in society.
Very much so. Especially Fa'afafine have a long respected history within Samoan culture, often integral parts of families and communities. It really shows how fluid gender can be viewed culturally.
That's incredibly different from many Western views. Okay, and this one always surprises me. South Korea, last names.
The big 3.
Exactly. Half the population, about 51 million people, share just 3 surnames: Kim, Lee, or Park.
Half the country. It's wild. It really points to specific historical events and how family names developed and consolidated in Korea over time. Hard to imagine here.
Definitely. Okay, last section. Let's wrap up with some surprising achievements and just plain oddities from around the world. The quirky stuff that makes you smile or scratch your head.
Yeah, these are often the little facts that stick with you, aren't they? Just because they're so unexpected.
Absolutely. My personal favorite might be this. The official national animal of Scotland is the unicorn.
A mythical creature. I love that.
Isn't it great? A unicorn. It symbolizes purity, innocence, power in Celtic myths. A very unique choice.
Sets them apart, for sure. And speaking of unique priorities, in Armenia, they take chess very seriously.
How seriously?
It's been a mandatory subject in public schools since about 2011. All kids have to learn chess.
Wow, mandatory chess. I bet that fosters some serious strategic thinking.
You'd think so. And it's probably contributed to their strong international chess reputation. Pretty smart educational policy, maybe.
Maybe. Okay, a strange double feature for Kuwait. One, it has the highest value currency in the world. The Kuwaiti dinar is worth over $3.
Okay, that's impressive. What's the other part?
It also has the world's largest tire dump.
A tire dump? How big?
So big, it's apparently visible from space. Millions and millions of old tires. Quite the contrast, right? Extreme wealth and a massive environmental issue.
That's a really stark juxtaposition, yeah. Wow.
Okay, for the wine lovers, Moldova. It's home to the largest wine collection in the world. Their Molesti Mici cellar is underground and holds around 2 million bottles.
2 million? That's not a cellar, that's a subterranean wine city. Must be incredible. A huge point of national pride, I bet.
We'd think so. Now, Monaco, famous for its Monte Carlo casino, right?
Yeah.
High rollers, glamour.
Yeah, absolutely. James Bond territory.
Well, guess what? Gambling is actually banned for Monaco's own citizens.
Get out! The locals can't gamble.
Nope. It's a law from the mid-1800s. It was put in place to stop the locals from gambling away their money.
Huh. So the casino is just for foreigners, basically.
Pretty much. And it might be one reason why something like a third of Monaco's residents are millionaires. They weren't losing it at the tables.
That's surprisingly practical, actually. Okay, how about Turkmenistan? They have a thing about car colors.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, black cars were effectively banned in the capital city a few years ago, and cars have to be kept spotless. The official preference is for white or silver cars.
Why? Just aesthetics.
Seems like it. It's to complement the capital Ashgabat's nickname, the City of White Marble. People with black cars were reportedly forced to repaint them. Talk about strict city planning.
No kidding. And finally, due to really severe hyperinflation, Zimbabwe ended up using multiple foreign currencies.
Like instead of their own?
Yeah. At one point, they officially adopted 8 different currencies for transactions. Things like the US dollar, the South African rand, even the Japanese yen.
Wow. That's a really drastic measure to try and stabilize an economy, isn't it? Shows how people adapt even in extreme financial chaos.
What a trip around the world that was. This deep dive really drives home the incredible range of human creativity, how adaptable we are, how resilient, all these diverse traditions, bizarre laws, amazing facts. And it just shows there are so many ways to live, to organize society. It really makes you question what normal even means, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And I think understanding these unique aspects of different cultures is such a great shortcut to being genuinely better informed. It gives you those aha moments, those flashes of insight that show, yeah, we share a lot as humans, but wow, the differences are astonishing too. There's just so much joy, I think, in finding out about things beyond your own experience.
There really is. It feels endless sometimes. So, okay, here's something to chew on as we wrap up. Think about your own life, your own culture. What traditions or just everyday quirks that seem totally normal to you might seem utterly baffling, maybe even weird to someone from halfway across the world? What does exploring all this tell us about our own perspectives, our own definition of normal? Something to think about.